Guys, I am so disappointed that I'm not going to make it to Axacon this weekend like I had planned.
That's all right. I was just doing some work on it. I was talking to Chris Weave, who does Starfleet Tactical, and he's coming down with his buddy, and they probably arrived in Atlanta already, and so we're having a little work day tomorrow at the studio just to kind of get things ready. And it's a small event. Like, we'll probably have, if we have 24 people, I'll be shocked. But that's not the point. The point is just get together and just have some fun on the bridge. And we're gonna, I think we're gonna work on the Stargate consoles we have tomorrow. But for Friday, we're just gonna get together and we'll do some live streaming and just have a good old time and go out after and just have some drinks and have some food and just, we'll do a live stream from the bridge because we'll have a lot of guys there. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a good time. Yeah, I wanted to go, and I wanted to go to STLV, but I tell you, it's just,
you got kids, man.
Yeah, that's true. I've got kids, and it's like stuff just comes up with the kids, and things like that. So maybe when they're older, and I've got a couple more raises at work, maybe I'll have a little extra money to be able to treat myself to a trip to STLV or something. But yeah, right now is just hasn't been working out.
Yeah. Well, that's you leave it to us. Leave it to us. Childless cat trekkies.
Yeah.
It was funny that I don't know if you're a Daily Show fan.
I've watched it.
I love the Daily Show, and
I watch the Daily Show all the time.
Did you see the one about Ronnie Chang does the piece about JD Vance's childless cat lady?
No, I've not caught up. I saw Mondays with Jon Stewart, and then I haven't been able to catch up since then.
Yeah, Ronnie Chang does a funny piece where he's like he's saying, so JD Vance thinks childless people are miserable. Oh, he says, oh yes, what are we going to do with all this disposable income? And oh my God, now I actually can fly business class. And now what do I do with all my free time? And he goes off on that, which is really, really funny because it's like we don't have to save $250,000 to put our kids through college each.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefits to being childless.
In my next life, I'm not having kids. I'm not getting married. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm keeping my money. I'm staying single. Gonna have fun. I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want to do.
When I was doing the Battlestar Galactica auctions back in 2008 and 2009, I had basically had two technology companies here in Atlanta, and the first one was very successful. Which all the haters hate. That all the haters, Axanar haters, love to portray me as some like jobless loser. But we sold the company that I started for $16 million. Not that I got that kind of money, but nonetheless, it was wildly successful. And the second one I started, we raised $1 million in venture capital in one of the epics. In a classic one meeting, the VC says, "Wait right there," and wrote me $1 million check. That company was way ahead of its time, didn't go anywhere. But then I started PropWorks, and we did the Battlestar Galactica auctions. And so I literally picked up, drove across the country, spent 3 months in Vancouver, and then moved to LA. And my friend, who's like a big shot, he was the number 2 in marketing in Home Depot. And then since then has gone on to bigger and better things, believe it or not. A big house up in Marietta, and wife and 3 kids, and everything's guys living large. And he at one point he said he has often said to me, I should say, Alec, I want to be you when I grow up. And meaning that I get to do things like with that whatever I want because I don't have kids.
For real.
If I want to move across the country and start a new business, I can. And I told him, at one point I said, John, thank you. That's a nice compliment. I said, however, the grass is always greener. I said, I don't have 3 kids who hug me when I come home from work during the day. I said, just remember that. And so listen, I think the path of life that is get married, have kids, grow old and retire, it has a lot of benefits. It's just different than not getting married, not having kids, and doing other things. So it's not it is really not a one is better than the other. It is just
Right.
2 different parallel tracks. And there are lots of there's lots of things. I have to get my love and affection from my dogs and cats because I don't have kids, but yes, on the other hand, I'm not spending $250,000 to send my dogs and cats through college.
Right.
I did want to while you were talking about the JD Vance thing, and I did hear about him saying that families with kids and stuff like that should have more weight. So when they claim that all of these people have like 5, 6, 7 kids and they're all Democrat, they're going to be okay when those people get 5, 6, 7 votes, correct? When they're right.
Let's not talk crazy now, Cheeto.
And then the typically rights-leaning households that only have like 2 kids, because that's typical, standard, average kid is like 2 to 3 kids. Then they're going to be okay that they only get 2 to 3 votes. You know what I mean?
Right.
JD Vance has just got, not getting into politics too much, but JD Vance is he's from Ohio, so we know his type of crazy. All right.
Yes, we know that type of crazy. I don't know if I knew that or if I forgot, but what part of Ohio do you know?
I don't know what part of Ohio, but I know he's from Ohio.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So yeah.
I want to play this clip because it's hysterical.
Okay.
This is the Daily Show, this clip. And hold on one sec.
I watched I saw the Pete Buttigieg interview also. I saw that and the Pete Buttigieg. I've not had a chance to watch yesterday's Daily Show though.
So here's let's start from the beginning.
One of the weird things that they've been hitting them on is this comment Vance made in 2021.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
Yeah, I mean, if you have friends who've chosen not to have kids, you know how totally miserable they are. I got too much disposable income. My life is so hard. I can fly business class. I still have a sex life. Please kill me. So after getting backlash, JD Vance tried to do damage control, but it turns out.
So anyway, I just think that is hysterical. So that's funny. Oh, and and Brian Simpson is saying here he's actually from Virginia. Who knows? Ohio, Virginia, wherever else.
I know that he served in office in Ohio. Let me put it that way, because they said he was from Ohio, so he's.
Yeah, you've got to be born in Ohio to say you're from Ohio, right? Or however that works. But in any case, so what's
this is fun, Brian. Brian's funny.
Yeah, I love this.
If you know. Well, if you followed all my comments about my lawsuit against Paul Jenkins for copyright fraud, Paul, in his infinite wisdom, because he thinks he's the smartest man in the world, has tried to portray Crystal and I in this BDSM relationship where I'm the dominant and she does whatever I say. And
hey, I mean, as long as it's consensual, whatever.
Right.
Well, more important, if you know anything about Crystal, she is not Crystal. Crystal's the one who hands you your hat, and as a matter of fact, we were at the seeing Wolverine, Deadpool Wolverine, and we got in a road rage incident. Literally. Yeah, it was really kind of scary because this guy in this big truck, almost T-boned us and then started following us, and I got out of my car and just said, "What the blank are you, what are you thinking of?" And He got out and then chest bumped me, and it was and Crystal gets out and says, bitch, get back in your car, like that to the guy from the truck, and he oh man, and then he literally got back in his truck and took off. But you don't mess with Crystal, like, but I think that, which is like typical, probably a reason Paul, is on this thing, because narcissists like him don't like strong women. So in answer to Brian Simpson, yeah, it is not quite that. This is actually probably a little, yeah. Pee-wee gets me to, Pee-wee is sitting by the front door all the time. He's got a little nest up there.
Yeah.
Little bat is literally the back. It's a little bat with a pillow in it. The back.
The big takeaway we got to make is to make sure that no matter what happens tonight, that we don't raise our voices and we don't become unhinged. Yeah. We don't want to be unhinged. So we've got to be very careful with that. This isn't Unhinged After Dark. No sudden movements.
Oh, is that something the haters are? Oh yeah, they're such idiots. It's oh God.
They're saying who's unhinged? Me?
No. Apparently Alec was unhinged last week.
Because I'm enthusiastic.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right.
Okay.
I know.
There's no enthusiasm outside of hatred. So anyone who gets enthusiastic about things.
Well, I don't think their positronic brains can actually equate, emotion. So it doesn't.
Cheeto. We're not getting unhinged. Okay.
By the way, JD Vance is from Middletown, Ohio. He was born in '84. He's actually a year younger than me, which sucks.
He was born in Middletown. Okay.
He went to Ohio State University.
What?
How did I not?
How did I not know any of this stuff? Jeez. Okay. So, yeah, I'm a Buckeye, and I'm suddenly kind of ashamed of that. So,
well, as soon as they announced he was from Ohio, I said, "Oh, great! Here we go. Here comes this."
You dug into it. Yeah, really. Well, Jesus. I mean, anyone can graduate from Ohio State now.
Yeah. All you got to do is party hard enough and they'll let you through.
Let me tell you something, though. The parties at Ohio State, they don't play around. In a whole other podcast, I could tell you some stories of partying up at OSU. It is, if you went to experience partying at Ohio State, you go up there when Michigan is in town.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy. Oh, it's just a different world there. Being in Columbus, aside from once you get about a mile or two outside of Ohio State's campus, the rest of the city is quiet. Like there's nothing else going on, and everyone's down there for that. Just that the sun's not even up, and you could hear Ohio State football music just in the air, walking to Kegs and Eggs at 6 in the freaking morning, and all this other stuff. They start early up there, and there was 1 year for a Michigan game. This was in '98, and it was a season that they were Michigan was in Columbus. And I tell you what, I tried partaking in some of the early festivities, and let me just tell you, I could not hang at all. These people, they know how to party and they don't play around. I mean, by the time it's noon, they've already been at it between 4 and 6 hours with the tailgating and everything else. So it's, wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous at Ohio State. A lot of fun. I'll give you that.
Yeah. So has everyone seen Deadpool and Wolverine here?
I have, yeah.
You've both seen it?
Yeah.
And did you both enjoy it the way we did?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, we over on NerdTube, we talked about it quite extensively. It was for me like I went into that movie hoping that it was going to be a eulogy for the Fox Marvel movie universe. And that's exactly what I got, where everyone's like, oh, it didn't advance the MCU plotline. I said, oh, I don't think it was supposed to. I think it was supposed to be a eulogy to all those old Fox movies that are now done. And, I think it did exactly that. That's exactly what I wanted. I laughed my ass off, and I got everything I wanted out of that movie, including some of the best acting of Hugh Jackman's as Wolverine. I'm sorry. Like,
Oh, yeah.
maybe Logan beats it out a little bit, but
No, he was good. He was really good.
I've got some words about Deadpool and Wolverine for sure, but I've got to tell you guys a story real fast because this comment from Sentai Ranger reminded me of a story. So I played football for Ohio State for a couple seasons, and so this is my freshman year at OSU. And after one practice, the head coach John Cooper he taught us the fight song. So the freshmen we learned the fight song this particular day after practice. Now, I knew the tune to Ohio State's fight song. I didn't know the words. The previous 2 years in high school, a lot of our team went to the Michigan football camp, and at the Michigan football camp, they teach you the fight song. Michigan's fight song, like anything else. So that was already drilled into my brain, the Michigan fight song. So this day after practice at OSU, learn the fight song, and the freshman players go into the room where we watch our film, and we get presented and shown off in front of these old timers, Buckeye former players, alumni, and all of that. So we walk into the room. I walked in first, guys all behind me. So we do our introductions and whatnot. We turn to leave. And so as we're leaving, I'm going to be the last one out. So Coach Cooper stops me and says, "Hey, Kelly, why don't you lead us off in the fight song?" And if it's possible, I turned white. All the color just left me because right in that moment, the fight song that pops in my head is "Hail to the Victors, Valiant Hail," because Michigan's fight song was what I'd learned the last 2 years. And I had just learned the words to Ohio State's literally like a half hour prior. So I'm scared shitless because I need to start this thing, and I'm just smiling, buying time, trying to get my brain to come up with the words. So I say, yeah, let's do that. And so I kind of turned to the group, and finally I was able to get the first verse of Ohio State's fight song out. And then the rest of the guys start, they're clapping and singing along. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I was lip syncing through most of it because it's just the fear got me. I didn't have the words. Even right now, I'm having a hard time coming up with the words just like that. But it's there. So yeah, that's my Ohio State fight song story. I was put on the spot to lead off in it, and I couldn't think of the words.
Wow.
Yeah. So now, Deadpool and Wolverine. That was I went with my son the other night to see that, and I had seen the first two Deadpool movies, and I'm not a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. I can really only take him in small doses. So for me to get through the whole Deadpool movie was kind of tricky. I've seen other Ryan Reynolds movies, and there are some that I like better than others, but I've never really cared for him all that much. This movie I thought was a great way to hopefully end the character as a main character. But see, the thing is, I don't think he works any other way. And we were kind of talking about this the other night, Alec, is that Deadpool is a good character to have cameos of other characters in his movies, but it wouldn't work the other way around. Like you can have as many Avengers, X-Men, or whatever else movies you've got. It just wouldn't fit to have Deadpool in there at any point. It's like he's too much of a
personality.
Yes, too much me personality. But all in all, I thought the movie was good. You can't mess up a movie that Hugh Jackman is in playing Wolverine.
Have you seen X3? Have you seen X-Men Origins Wolverine?
You've got to try very hard. I'm just saying it's not easy to do. It's possible, but it's not easy.
And granted, I don't blame any of that on Hugh Jackman, by the way. Those two movies were garbage because of director and writing. And actually, there were some really good ideas in those movies that I won't dig into because we go on a whole other tangent. But you know, I there are actually redeeming qualities of those two movies, but still, Hugh Jackman was not the worst part of those.
Right. Exactly. I think that Deadpool and Wolverine, just with the whole, I'm going to try not to spoil it, just with the whole multiverse concept, I think is cheating the writing and storytelling. Sure, it's great the way they did everything and how they used it. My problem is that if you don't really focus on getting the genie back in the bottle, then at what point do people stop caring about any of your storytelling? Just look at Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU and playing Doctor Doom.
Oh, I've got thoughts on that, but we can talk about that if you want to.
It's a very slippery slope to be able to say that, well, we can do whatever we want because we can bring back anybody we want to. Since we have a multiverse, we can just pluck people from whatever Earth we find fit. Not a great idea.
Well, you know, yeah, and in one sense, the first season of Loki kind of messed everything up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You were in the sacred timeline, and that was it. And then because of her decision to kill he who remains, the multiverse returns, and season 2 of Loki doesn't solve that problem, but it kind of smooths it over.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, now you can talk about every different universe you want. I see what you're saying is that, yeah, you can always, there's always the ability to get a character from another universe. But I haven't seen that. I haven't seen them abuse it yet. So I'm not gonna jump to the conclusion that they're going to abuse it yet. So
you don't think they've abused it yet? With what? Right.
No, I don't, because what have we seen in the multiverses so far? I mean, you know, I didn't think, you know, I didn't think Wolverine Deadpool abused it. I mean, I see what they were trying to do, and I go, oh, okay. And they brought that Wolverine from his dead universe, dead X-Men universe. I mean, which is kind of like, that was kind of like what they were doing was basically saying that that's the old Fox universe and that everyone died, right? Except for Wolverine. And I
think that's what I got. Was that what they were trying to?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they were saying that all the X-Men died.
All the X-Men died. So
not every person.
Yeah, no, all the X-Men died. So they bring the Wolverine into our universe. I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, what else have we seen of the multiverse? We've seen the multiverse in
Doctor
Strange, and I thought it was pretty well done in Doctor Strange as well. And it wasn't. I don't feel like it was abused. You know, she went to get her kids from another universe. I thought that was an interesting story idea. But what we've also seen is the ability to do different things, like in the universe that they went to in Doctor Strange, how in Multiverse of Madness, in that universe you had Captain Carter. In that universe you had Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. In that, you know, it was different. But it was okay. You know, I was like, oh, and in that universe, they actually killed their Doctor Strange, right? So I haven't seen it be abused yet. I'm not saying that it won't, but I guess at this point, you got to say it's an interesting concept. They've gone with it, and let's see what they do with it. Because I don't think what you're going to be seeing is them tapping into that for every single show. Because certainly there's a universe where there's a Captain America. Steve Rogers, Captain America. You're not going to. There's no plans for them to do that. So I just don't. I don't see them having abused it yet, and I don't think they're going to, because it's not going to be a part of every story they have going forward. I'm more worried about them making shitty movies or mediocre. Let me just say mediocre movies, right? I don't really think they've made anything shitty. I think they've made things that were mediocre. But as we've talked about before, my concern is them not having a grand plan that is a plan that has impact. Them making more, more TV shows that we don't need to see, or more movies that are like the Eternals that we don't need to see. Or that's what I just don't want it to get mediocre. As we talked about with Star Wars, it's like, do we really need the Acolyte? And we just don't need that kind of mediocre filmmaking. That's my concern.
Yes, because
that's a bigger concern than are they going to abuse the multiverse?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, The Flash did it first. They abused the multiverse, like a Grand Theft Auto whore. I mean, it was. The Flash did it horribly in a lot of cases. So
yeah,
I agree with Alec. I mean, we've definitely knocked on the multiverse doorstep, but I do have that fear because of them bringing back Robert Downey Jr. That's where the abuse is going to come in.
I think that's probably what makes me think the abuse point has been hit. Was once they did that, to me, that was okay, now we're ready to abuse it.
Because what it's going to do is it's going to undercut everything that, like, let's say we bring in another Doctor Doom, after Robert Downey's is done, whether he's done after Doomsday or he's done after Secret Wars or whatever. But then let's bring in another Doctor Doom, like the prime timeline. Like, it's almost like Norman Osborn. When Peter in the MCU tried to look up Norman Osborn, there was no Norman Osborn. It kind of undercuts the fact that about that villain in the MCU timeline. I would almost rather there be, and I don't mind Robert Downey coming back in a cameo as like in Secret Wars is like what is he called in the comics? That's the Sorcerer Supreme, but what do they call him? The Stark Sorcerer Supreme. I don't know.
I don't know that one.
He's like a techno mage. He's got technology and he's got sorcery at his fingertips. That's pretty much what Doctor Doom is. But as I said, I don't know. I feel like they're really undercutting Doctor Doom by having him as Robert Downey.
And the problem is that they can, any complaints that we have about that, they can just point to the comics and say, this is a storyline that's already been done. This isn't something that we're just creating out of thin air as a publicity stunt. Even though I think that's what it is, the comics have already set the precedent for all of it. So it's like there's Tony Stark being Doctor Doom, or whatever variation you want to use, is something that's already been done in the comics. Now, I haven't read all the Marvel comics, but I have seen it shown, like, here it is. Here's a storyline from the comics. So this is,
but it still has to be a good story. What
right, sure. Yeah, you can't just say, well, it's already been done. Why are you complaining?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, I've collected Spider-Man since I was like 7. Like, I could point to tons of storylines that are bad comic book like storylines that if they made a movie out of it, it would still be bad.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is having a good story, a good reason for it, because every movie up to and including Endgame was like if you don't watch every movie, when you get to Infinity War and Endgame, you're not going to understand a lot of what's going on. Sure, you can watch it and enjoy it, but you'll be rewarded if you've watched the 20-some movies that led up to it. And then after Endgame, you have several series and movies that address the issue of what happened with the snap and then with the blip, which I think is great. But there's a lot more from Endgame to now that just didn't matter. A lot of series and a lot of movies, it just felt like they didn't matter the way that everything up to Endgame mattered. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'll pause at this. I think it was a mistake to let Jonathan Major go. I think he was. I would think he was really good. And if you want to let him go, then do one more movie and wrap up that storyline.
No, I just say, in my opinion, I just say recast. Because here's the thing: if you just get rid of Jonathan Majors, then you basically make him think, oh, I'm irreplaceable. No one else can do this character but me. And in all actuality, he didn't get his, like, you could say that about Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. I'm not going to say Captain America because I like Sam Wilson's Captain America, but as Steve Rogers, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. You can say that about those guys because they're really, but Jonathan Majors, he did not have enough time to get his feet wet in there. And I think, honestly, if John Boyega would have taken the part when they asked him to, I still wanted to see a Kang Dynasty movie. It was supposed to be a backdoor Young Avengers movie. That's what they were building up towards. They were having the Young Avengers start to assemble. And Kang in the comic books is a Young Avengers villain. Not originally, but the Young Avengers have run. And I wanted to see that where we start Kang Dynasty with Kang just ravaging the Avengers, like just destroying them all. And then the Young Avengers have to step up and restore the timeline and save everybody. That was what I was hoping for with Kang Dynasty. And it's just like, and look, Jonathan Major in his personal life, whatever. But I mean, he has proven himself kind of to be he's shown his character quite a bit. And a lot of people have said that he's very hard to work with. So I'm kind of just like, okay, then just let him go, recast. I'd have taken John Boyega. That would have been fine. Like, I think he would have been a great Kang.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, Disney screwed the pooch with him with Star Wars.
Well,
how did they screw the pooch with him?
He hates Disney.
Oh, really?
John Boyega has said he hates Disney. He will never work for Disney again. He doesn't want to do any big franchises again.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't hear it from his mouth verbatim, but I've seen that in several places. So
what would it be like? I really, really want to know what it feels like to turn down millions of dollars. Have you guys ever wondered that? Like, how nice would it feel to be offered money and to say no to it? I've never been offered money that I can think of.
Maybe John Boyega is just as bad to work with. I don't know.
In that rare case that you were to offer me money, it's like, okay, I don't think I would say no to that. I'm not in a position, but wouldn't that just be nice to be in a position where you can just say no to millions of dollars?
Well, and I mean, it's a lot of work, but I think what happened was with John Boyega is that his character in Star Wars was just so underutilized and so mishandled, in my opinion. I wanted to see more of that character, and I just think with the sequel movies, I'm not saying the sequel movies are garbage. I'm not one of those people that say that The Last Jedi is garbage. I don't think it's garbage. I think that there are redeeming factors to The Last Jedi, although there were some. It was definitely a strange pivot in the way of storytelling from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. I still don't think it was a terrible movie. But
what was supposed to happen was the sequel trilogy was supposed to be a coherent story, just three different directors. It was, what happened was, now take this, for what you will, take it with a grain of salt. This is what I've heard during the time of these movies. I can't cite any sources. It was just forums, it was news, it was something. But apparently, was it Rian Johnson was director of
Rian Johnson? Yeah.
That apparently he just went, fuck it, this way with the whole story, and
he
went rogue
on
the whole thing. So what you had was this plan for the storyline of these three movies. You're going to have this, a coherent storyline, these three movies, three directors, and he screwed the pooch. And so Rise of Skywalker was basically had to be a pivot back to course correct. It was a course correct movie, and why J.J. Abrams came back. That was not what happened. That Rain just kind of went off the reservation and jacked up the whole thing.
Well, and that's why I think they should have done an extra movie. Like, that's why I think, because they crammed so much, they had to do triage, repair, and then finish the entire Skywalker saga in one movie. And I am almost like, I really wish they would have just announced episode 9 and then episode 10. And 10 was going to be the cap, only because I know they all have to be done in threes.
Doesn't work. You're right. That's why.
But then we get episode 9, which is severely rushed. And again, I don't hate episode 9. I think there were great things in episode 9, but I still feel like it was rushed. And I feel like they were trying to cram way too much. I mean, it was more fast paced than an episode of Gilmore Girls. I mean, for real. Like, there were no commas in that script at all.
Right. Guys, we are screwed. We have to fix the last movie. We have to course correct. We've got to do all this
and
shit.
They had to finish the Skywalker. That's why I said they should have announced episode 10, and they should have been like, look, we're going to take this next movie. We are going to course correct. We're going to, I'm not saying like discanon The Last Jedi, but like course correct as best as you can. Take your time with it and fix it, repair it. And then episode 10 is your big climactic end of the Skywalker saga. I know that everybody would lose their crap about there being a 10th movie, but at the same time, it's like, it's either that or you get episode 9 that is like literally 3 movies in a 2.5 hour span.
Unfortunately, that's what had to happen, and it happened that way. And
oh God, that was the comment that just came up. They could have done episode 9 part 1 and episode 9 part 2. No, just do episode 9 and 10.
You
could have called it The Rise of Skywalker Part 1 and The Rise of Skywalker Part 2. Whatever.
You could have gone Deathly Hallows with it.
Or you could have just not been so fucking stupid and just given the whole trilogy to one director in the beginning. I mean, listen, the problem was Kathy Kennedy was too smart by half. It's like, honey, I don't mean to be demeaning. But Kathy, you don't need to be given 3 directors. I mean, there's no way you can create. You could have given Steven Spielberg, David Lean, and John Huston those 3 movies, and it's still not guaranteed that you're going to have 3 good movies.
Right.
Because everyone has a different vision of what it's about. So there's no consistency. You need to have a consistency. Listen, whatever you say about George, the 3 originals and the 3 prequels were overall internally consistent. You can say, well, the 3 prequels are all bad. Yeah, well, they're the same level of bad. I mean, right? I mean, realistically, and you could say, oh, well, Revenge of the Sith was the best of the 3. Okay, but realistically, all 3 of those movies were really,
the tone was very consistent through all 3 movies.
With an arrow.
Correct.
Yeah, right. And because it was all George.
Yes.
That's just it. That was all George. And it's the same thing, but it's the opposite. Kathy was like, we're going to have 3 different directors. And then she gave one to JJ, and then she gave the other 2 to directors who really were one-hit wonders at that point. And it was just stupid. She should have just given the 3 of them to JJ, let him make the 3 movies, and there you go. But
they didn't even have to be all 3 to JJ. It could have been somebody else.
Whoever it was. I mean, JJ was the leading contender, it seemed, at that point.
Yeah, I mean, JJ's the king of nostalgia bait. I mean, look at his Star Trek movies. Those 2, very nostalgia bait. I'm not saying they're bad movies. I'm just saying, but he does lean heavily on nostalgia for a lot of his stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, and I actually wanted to see Rian Johnson because they were going to give Rian Johnson a Star Wars movie after he did The Last Jedi. Maybe even a trilogy. Actually, I think it was a trilogy. And he wanted
that?
After
Last Jedi.
Before The Last Jedi came.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
The thing is that I would want to see Rian Johnson's vision of a Star Wars movie. I'm not talking about like the problem with it is the Skywalker saga is this like sacred holy ground that you have to do. You have to fit within these very narrow parameters of what you're doing.
Right.
And that's what I don't like about the Skywalker saga. I will sit here and say that Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie above all Star Wars, above Empire, Return, A New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, all of them. Any of them that are even considered remotely good. Rogue One is so good because it is so damn different tonally, but it's also within the universe. It makes sense. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know, like, Rogue One is in the Skywalker saga, but it's not like an episode, is what I mean by those. And it's just like, I was not a huge fan of the original trilogy. I didn't hate them. I thought they were good. Return of the Jedi was my favorite out of the three, and not even Empire. Empire was just kind of meh for me. You know? Yeah. Empire.
Really?
Yeah, I liked Return. I like my big climactic battle of like and resolution, like Return of the King. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
everyone all got upset about like miniature Wookiees that were Ewoks, and I'm like, why are we so hung up on the Ewoks when we've got like everything else going for this movie? Anyway, but and I'm getting unhinged here. I'm sorry, Jefferson. But still, like, Rogue One was so good because, and that's, I wanted to see what Rian Johnson did with a Star Wars movie, but not, as I said, and you put him in episode 1 of the Skywalker saga, he's going to fail because he's going to try to do his thing, and the fan base is not going to go for it. And I knew that when they announced it. And that's when I was like, and when Mark Hamill started coming out and saying, oh, this is not what you're going to, this is not what you think it's going to be. I'm like, he is giving all of us code for don't get your hopes up. This will not be what it is. I liked Hermit Luke Skywalker because guess what? Everyone's like, Luke wouldn't have been a hermit. His two masters were hermits. Like, that's all he's ever had to learn from. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda were both hermits. Like, what do you think he's going to do when he fails the Jedi? It made sense to me.
You're going to be a hermit.
Yeah. People just frustrate me.
People frustrate you. Well, we got a little bit of Star Trek talk in there.
Yeah, there's not much. We talked about Star Trek on Monday. We talked about Star Trek. And I'm not sure there's much to see. Oh, CBS did just demonetize that live stream because of the us playing the trailer.
Oh, the clip from
I'm like,
Worlds.
totally
God damn it!
fine.
I knew.
Oh
it.
yeah,
I told Dad what's gonna happen.
Over on NerdTube, we never play the trailers because they always demonetize, or most times they block the video. They will flat out block it. We can't even play it. That's why
it makes no sense because you're just promoting them.
Yeah, we're just promoting them, and they're going to sit there and block it. It's like, we are giving you free promotion. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, that's why we just what we do is we watch it beforehand, and then we just kind of page through it, with images on when we talk about it. But it's just like, when we talk, we did about an hour and a half discussion Sunday, I think, about all the Comic-Con stuff. But yeah.
So we're basically going to be getting. So basically, we've got 2 Star Trek shows now, right? We basically got Strange New Worlds, and Starfleet Academy, plus a movie of Section 31.
In Lower Decks.
Lower Deck. Well, unless you count that as ending. Plus Prodigy. Prodigy's not been canceled.
Yeah, but it hasn't been renewed yet.
Well, neither is the Orville, but I mean,
right.
It's in that limbo.
And then is Lower Decks has one more season coming? Is that what it is?
Season
in October.
5. And that's the last season.
And that's the last season. Yeah.
Yep. We also are going to get a live action comedy.
Don't like that.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Right, and I'm not kidding anyone to think I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to watch everything Star Trek, and I'm not going to say something isn't Star Trek. That underwhelms me.
This is what should be happening: a Star Trek anthology series.
I agree with you 100%. I would love an anthology series.
The fact that they're not doing that is just mind-boggling. There's so much opportunity to do something like this. If you can't do something like this, then you're just not thinking smart enough. I mean,
you've got a whole universe to play with. You know what I mean? Like
right. And look, 2 of the most successful science fiction shows ever on TV are Outer Limits and Twilight Zone. They're both anthology series, right? So why can't Star Trek do it? There's a total lack of imagination there. It's we're going to do the comedy, or we're going to do Starfleet Academy. I just like, And realistically, Strange New Worlds was I want to say this the right way so as not to insult it. It was basically a safe choice.
Yeah.
It was basically a safe choice. Oh, well, let's just do what we've always done, and the fans will like it, which is true. Great captain, right? Great actor. It's the Enterprise. Okay, great.
Well, and they had trialed all the major characters. They had trialed all the major characters on another show already, so they knew it was safe.
Yeah. Safe choice. You know, the truly when you think about it, the truly interesting stuff in Star Trek over the Kurtzman era has been the animated stuff. I mean, that's doing something totally different with Star Trek and doing it well. Lower Decks, Prodigy, like them or not, they're both very, very well done shows and both well received, you know, but they have not really done anything really compelling and interesting in live action that was new and different. Picard season 3 was not new and different. It was old, and there was this, again, safe choice. Not saying anything bad about Picard season 3 because I loved it. Safe choice.
I would argue that Picard season 1 was different, just not well executed. Like I wanted out of Picard season 1 is I wanted more of a adventure of a character instead of a crew, and that's what they said it was going to be. But it just kind of got bogged down and just wasn't good. Yeah, it just wasn't good, and that's. But I love the concept of Picard season 1, where it was like not being in Starfleet and doing this adventure, but then it got bogged down in the Borg and all this other, and it's like, and then the android or the synths and all that, and I'm like, no, I'm out. Yeah,
I know. So, I don't know. I just don't think I don't think Kurtzman has. You could argue that Discovery was taking chances with Star Trek.
Sure.
But again, I would say he was trying to make safe choices. Let's anchor it in the time before Kirk. Let's copy Axanar. Let's do the Klingon War. Let's do things that are let's make her a daughter of Sarek. That'll tie it to the. None of those. If you had been truly bold, you would have done something different, or you would at least done something that wasn't going to piss off the fans. So I haven't seen that out of Star Trek, and I don't expect we're going to see it out of the new season of Star Trek New Voyages, which I'm sure is going to be great. Again, love Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Love Strange New Worlds. All right. I don't think Starfleet Academy is going to show us anything that we haven't seen already. Whereas Lower Decks and Prodigy did expand the Star Trek universe. They expanded in interesting and new ways in animation and to, like it or not, Jefferson, I'm sorry, but Lower Decks is a love letter to Star Trek fans. It's just a very different show that they've never done that before. They never said this is for Star Trek fans. Well, God bless you. Thank you for doing that for us. And Prodigy is like appealing to the Nickelodeon audience. We've never done that before. So, hey, good on you for doing that. I hope that as Skydance takes over and I'm assuming at some point they put a new Star Trek czar in place, that Star Trek czar looks at the landscape and says, okay, this is the direction we're going to go. We're going to do things that are new and interesting. At the same time, do things that fans are going to love. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it's a bad thing it's not always a bad thing to make a safe choice with Star Trek if it's done right. So when it comes to any of the shows that play to something that's already established with Star Trek, I'm not saying that you should try to not establish yourself or to not have any connection with any other Star Trek whatsoever. It's just that it should be done right. And I think that some of it is done right. some of it maybe not quite as much, but it just depends.
About that comment you have down there, Alec, or Jefferson, whoever put it up, but again, like Star Trek Legacy is a safe choice. Now, look, I am not saying I don't want Star Trek Legacy. I do like the idea of Captain Seven. I do like I do like the idea, but at the same time, Star Trek Legacy would not be breaking new ground. It would just be another Enterprise.
No,
it
would be doing something. It wouldn't be breaking new ground, but it would be giving fans what they want.
Yes, and that's what I mean. It's safe,
and that serves a good purpose in my book. Like,
and there's nothing wrong with safe.
I think Star Trek Legacy should be the anchor around which you build the next generation of Star Trek films, Star Trek series. Like, whoever comes in, here is Wilhelm saying Jonathan Frakes should be the Star Trek star. Not sure that's true, but let's, for argument's sake, say it is true that it should be Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes should say, we're making Star Trek Legacy. That's the first thing we're making. Just like Kurtzman did Discovery, if Frakes said, we're going to make Star Trek Legacy the centerpiece, I would go, good for you. Taking care of the fans, making good Star Trek with characters we love. I think it would be a huge hit. Then you go, okay, what are we going to do differently? And do you want to do a Klingon series? Do you want whatever it is that you could do, an anthology series? I think because I think what needs to happen is there needs to be, as I talked about previously, a big grand strategy. It's the big whiteboard meeting. Like, okay, what do we want to do? If we have Star Trek, that Jonathan Frakes should start the meeting and say, look, let's plan the next 10 years of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. What's the next 10 years of Star Trek look like? Okay, it's going to first we're going to do Star Trek Legacy, because that's going to give all the fans what they want. It's going to set us up with the fans in a positive way, with an Enterprise we know and we love, and blah, 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 blah. Okay.
Don't love the Enterprise G.
Yeah. What's that?
Don't love the Enterprise G.
Neither do I. But that being said, I mean, I like it not for the time period that's in. It's a cool design, 80 years earlier. But what's after that? Oh, well, let's do an anthology series, or let's do a Klingon Captain Worf series, whatever the things are. And how would you build this Star Trek universe, this 10-year plan to make great Star Trek that's both familiar, has familiar elements and for fans, and different elements that expand our understanding of what Star Trek is?
Well, and that's something that I think would be a good thing to do. Is you should have as your picture the sacred timeline. You've got your one golden thing, and then you've got your different stuff coming off of it. I picture it as you should have your safe choice show. For example, right now the safe choice is Strange New Worlds, and then your other Star Treks are your ones you can take your chances with, do something different, et cetera, et cetera. But in my opinion, there should always be a show that's at least one show that's running that is this is the safe bet show that the fans like, keeps them happy. And right now, in my opinion, I think that's Strange New Worlds is your safe bet show.
Yeah.
Once that is done, so we've got season 3 coming up. I think we can all see it coming that whenever it gets to season 5, that's going to be it. Whatever your safe show is after that, to me, I think your best candidate would be a show like Legacy as this is our safe show for the fans, and these other ones, a Klingon show or a Worf show or a comedy or whatever it may be, could be your kind of like off to the side sort of thing.
That's what I think they're doing now, is like they're tagging in. You know what I mean? Maybe not tagging is the wrong word, but like Lower Decks is ending. Oh, look, here's a comedy live action comedy series. Like Picard ended, Disco ended. Strange New. Well, I don't know what would have replaced Picard. and Disco. Well, obviously Starfleet Academy is going to be replacing Disco. You know, what's going to be taking Picard's place? You know, like if we even have anything,
it would be Legacy if we ever got it.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of think they're going for, is like, okay, we're going to have so many shows running at the same time, but we need to end a show in order to start a new one.
Right.
So, but I agree. I mean, like at this point right now, yeah, Disco's ending, Starfleet Academy is coming in. You know, Lower Decks is ending, this rom-com, or not rom-com, but the comedy series is coming in. If they do Legacy, you know, what happened? Maybe they're waiting for Strange New Worlds to end, and then Legacy will be the next thing. You know,
sure.
Who knows? Maybe that's all they've got budget for. I mean, at least with CBS, you know, I mean, that might be, hey, we only can afford. That's why they had to sell off Prodigy, you know, because they're like, we can't afford to have this running as well as all of these other series is running, because it's also a money thing. They had to make Paramount and CBS look profitable for the sale. At least that's what I gathered. So that's why they were getting rid of some of these expenses, at least before the sale.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And listen, they're reevaluating the whole streaming thing, right? You can't have you can't be making 5 Star Trek TV series for your streaming channel. That makes absolutely no sense.
It really doesn't. You really don't want to overload it and have too much that's going on at one time. In my opinion, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and we'll see. So, you know, let's keep our fingers crossed, and hopefully we enjoy, you know, Strange New Worlds as we did this past year, except maybe the singing episode.
Oh, I love that episode.
I liked it. I think people were a little. I think that, you know, I'll grant you that the premise was stupid, but it was fun.
Which episode?
The singing one.
Subspace Rhapsody.
Oh. Yeah, there were some plot choices in there but I thought it was a fun episode. You know, it was kind of like a Deadpool and Wolverine episode or movie. It's like you kind of just sit back and
go, okay.
You're just kind of like, all right, sure, that whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. So, I do. By the way, I did love the. I did love the breaking. They acknowledge that they're breaking the fourth wall in Deadpool Wolverine when Nicepool says the proposal. I was like, oh, I was like, okay, touche. That was pretty good. Oh God. So, all right. Well, it looks like we're at the end of the line here.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to come and make it, and it's always fun to sit down and talk Star Trek and get a little break, talk about Marvel stuff and Star Wars.
Yeah. So everyone go out and see Deadpool Wolverine. You will not.
It is definitely worth your money.
Yeah.
And all the money it's making. Holy crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's doing fantastic. And we will make sure that we aren't unhinged in the future.
We'll try next week. We need to get a counter going somewhere that says the blank weeks since unhinged rant. Like 1 week, beat goes down to 0.
And also let's mark us safe from stupid idiot haters who just love stalking us and commenting about us. But the good thing about us doing these live streams is the haters have something to talk about. So we're adding meaning to their meaningless lives by having this.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
We're doing it for the children. All right, everyone. Great. Listen, want to say thank you so much. If you're not coming to AxaCon, that's your problem. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to try and live stream it from it and let you know how things are going. We got a bunch of regulars coming in who've been there before. We are going to be screening the rough edit of the next 2 episodes of Axanar on the big screen, and so we'll get you some reaction shots after that, and there will be that we may be doing a live stream Friday night. I'll keep you posted. This weekend is the Starfleet International Conference as well. Starfleet, the Starfleet International Fan Club. It's their annual conference, which we were talking about this morning. And it's like, wow, it's a really underwhelming international conference because they don't even have a schedule of events up yet. And we're all like, well, what are we going to be doing? And I'm like, maybe we should just go and hang out at the bar. That's probably going to be the most fun thing that we can do there. So we will see. But hey, listen, guys, thanks for coming out. Make sure everyone here is safe this weekend, and go see Deadpool Wolverine. And we will chat with you whenever. Just watch the live stream. Stay tuned for the notifications about the live streams that we got coming in. Jefferson, we'll miss you. Cheeto, you should have taken the time off. You got to come down. You have not been down to the studio, so you owe us. You need to.
I'll get on it. I'll as soon as I find time, I'll get on it.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. You guys take care. We'll see you hopefully Friday. Cheers.